Yeah, this is just a test of the new Panasonic DMC ZS8. We just had a thunderstorm roll through here. There's been storm warnings up today. So, as you know, my old other camera, the Panasonic ZMCS, what was it, DMC ZS5 was stolen. And I just replaced it. This is actually a better model, has better zoom. I kind of don't want anybody to see it using this because I'm still at home here. But let's see how this comes out.
And you don't think about it, and
okay, we're just leaving for work here. Check out them clouds. This just came through here. Wasn't much of a storm, but got a lot of rain out of it.
That Moises Alou, the left fielder, reached into the stands. In other words, the fan, Steve Bartman, had every right to that ball. He was not interfering.
There's no doubt. I mean, we looked at that play over and over again, and we did show it a number of times in the film. He's right on the edge. I mean, he didn't reach, Moises Alou didn't reach way into the stands, but it was ambiguous enough so that I think any reasonable umpire couldn't have called.
Had some bad weather come through here last night too.
That Steve Bartman reached way out into the field. You know, I think it's fair to say that Moises, you know, he was reaching up at his own risk. Now, some people say, and Scott Turrell, the novelist, does say in the film, you know, look, you're a hometown fan, you gotta, you know, keep your mind on the score, the moment, and all of that. If you're sitting in a front row, I think that's true to an extent. And so, if he had been a super
buzz the window back up here because I got the air.
Everybody around him was reaching up for that ball too. It's just your natural instinct. The idea that a ball would seek you out at the ballpark—that's magic. And to give that up is pretty hard.
Would Jeffrey Mayer have stuck his glove out over the right field wall at Yankee Stadium had that not been hit by Derek Jeter, but by somebody for the Baltimore Orioles who was playing in that game?
Well, there's a case where Jeffrey Mayer may have had.
We're not out of the woods yet. There's still some weather in the area.
What was going on in the ballpark in terms of, you know, strategic outcome? He gave a home run, tried to give a home run to Derek Jeter.
Here's an email from Jeff in Salt Lake City. As a long-suffering Cubs fan, the ineptness after the Bartman foul ball is much more indicative of the cloud over the Cubs for over 100 years. He didn't cause the 8-run rally. Champions bounce back. Lesser beings don't. Leave Bartman alone. We're talking with Alex Kimby about his new film, Catching Hell. You're listening to Talk of the Nation from NPR News. And let's go next to Mike, and Mike's on the line from Wichita.
There is the gas station that when I made my Kinks gallon of gas video and took the pictures, that station was closed down, but now it's opened back up under a different company.
To be quite honest,
which is good because we need a gas station there.
When you haven't won a championship in over 100 years, everybody's got to kind of do their part. I myself have even fantasized about being in Bartman's shoes, and if that ball comes to me, I got my arms extended up.
Last video I shot going down this road, it was snowy.
Yeah, the last thing on my mind would be I want a foul ball. I want it to end the inning. And you know the point about our shortstop, fumbling the next play. I can tell you, Al would have caught that ball. That ground ball would have been smothered by the shortstop instead of him trying to turn quickly to play. And we'd be having a different conversation right now. Now I know ESPN did that you can't blame series, and of course Bartman was front and center of that series. And the general consensus was you can't blame Bartman, but I'll always blame him.
I hear your passionate devotion to the Cubs cause. He should have won more. Hell, death threats aren't enough.
There's a nice looking, about an 88 Chevy truck in great shape for the age. I don't think I'll buy a vehicle from that guy though. That's where I bought my Sunfire from, and that turned out to be the biggest piece of junk I've ever owned.
I suspect, yes, like our first caller, a lot of people said Dusty Baker, the manager, should have pulled Pryor. The shortstop shouldn't have made the error. But I suspect there's more than a few in Chicago who still blame Steve Bartman.
I think so. as the fan was evidence of. I mean, I think people saw it as a moment. You know, it's one of those things where the game turns there. And they have
Just to clarify, even though it says I live in Flint, Michigan, on my homepage, and that's, you know, basically where I was born there. I've been in this area all my life. I don't actually live in the city limits. I actually live in Mount Morris, Michigan, which is a suburb of Flint. It's just a little bit north of Flint. But I'm in the city most every day, so, you know, who's heard of Mount Morris? Everybody's heard of Flint, so that's why I say I'm from there. Actually, I grew up in Clio, which is another suburb of Flint, which is a little bit further to the north. But I was born in Flint, went to church in Flint. My grandparents lived in Flint. So yeah, that's where I'm from.
And it was, you know, a rather obscene statement directed at this one fan. But so there seemed no doubt in the stands that day as to who should play.
We're talking with Alex Gibby, who directed the documentary Catching Hell. It's playing this week as part of AFI's Silver Dogs Festival in Washington, D.C.
And the AC takes a lot of power away from the engine, even with the 4.3 liter.
Let's see if we can get to Jordan. Jordan's with us from Nashville.
Shoots a lot of gas down.
Okay.
Well, that day was very, very significant for me because it was the day that I stopped following the Cubs. I sort of realized that
Nice looking old S10 all tubbed out for drag racing.
Crying for an entire day after that loss was not the way to react to sports. But specifically, feeling Steve Bartman's pain.
Well, tell me we haven't had some rain.
This is NPR News.
Make it through this.
It's 4:05. Good afternoon. I'm Rena Miller in for Jen White with Michigan Radio News. The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lapeer and southern Tuscola counties until 4:30, for northern Tuscola and Huron counties until 4:45, Macomb and St. Clair counties until 5:15. The southern lower Michigan is pretty much all of it is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 7 o'clock this evening.
Oh, man.
Oakland and Ingham counties are suing mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac over millions of dollars in disputed tax revenues. Michigan Radio's Sarah Hewlett reports.
Michigan has something
We're in the
called
city of
real
Flint
estate
right now.
transfer tax, and it's paid by the seller when a property changes hands. Fannie and Freddie have been unloading many of the homes that revert to them in foreclosure sales. Oakland County Treasurer Andy Meisner says Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac behave like private companies, but are trying to claim governmental exemption from paying the tax.
They say, you know, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And in this instance, our duck, Fannie and Freddie, are private companies.
Meisner estimates Fannie and Freddie owe the state and country more than $12 billion in unpaid transfer taxes over the past 6 years. I'm Sarah Hewlett, Michigan Radio News.
The Michigan legislature is considering several amendments to the state's medical marijuana law. The bills would create a database of license holders for law enforcement and ban marijuana dispensaries from operating within 1,000 feet of schools and churches. It would also bar citizens from suing cities that restrict or ban marijuana dispensaries. State Senator Rick Jones is one of the bill's sponsors.
Michigan voters do recommend that they either voting for marijuana for senior citizens in great pain, or perhaps suffering from cancer and cancer treatment, including marijuana.
The legislation mirrors a national trend, and cleanup crews are collecting oil that remains at the bottom of the Kalamazoo River. It's been nearly a year since more than 840,000 gallons of heavy crude oil leaked from a broken pipeline near Marshall. More than 90% of the oil has been cleaned up already. The company spokesperson says crews are
Right over in this area, when I came home from work Tuesday morning, you could see we had like 12 arson fires over there all that night. And you could see 3 of them burning at once, all in different locations. I wish I'd had this camera. But that's what's been going on around here. People are burning houses down, stripping houses. It's just ridiculous. That area is almost completely gone. They do have a suspect in custody, though. Hopefully they charge. As you can see, we got some more clouds down that way towards the south where I'm heading.
This kind of decision-making process before. I want you to describe what the competing interests were that he had to balance this time around to arrive at this speech.
Well, the military wanted the drawdown to be as slow as possible, but if, as we expected to do,
Port Huron or Lansing? We're heading towards Lansing.
Now, maybe close to 10 by the end of the year, then the rest of the surge
And you know it's summer in Michigan
in 2012,
because it's construction
a
season.
little bit faster than the generals wanted. There still will be about 70,000 troops on the
Yeah, I
ground
better watch my driving.
The armed
Oh, I
services
just
have
love
been
following
750,000
these things. The stench coming from that truck is just unbearable.
John Boehner said as long as the military is okay with this pace of withdrawal, he will support it. It's been interesting. The president has even gotten some pushback from Republicans who the Republican Party is going through a sea change of sorts. Many of them think the war is too expensive. Some of the leading Republican candidates for president want the
Get out
troops
from behind
to
this
come
guy.
sooner. What he's not getting, interestingly enough, is what he's gotten.
Oh yeah, we got some more weather coming in.
I think he's not pursuing this war vigorously enough.
Mark, we use the phrase war-weary public commonly now. But what kind of data is there to back up the idea that the country is weary of war in Afghanistan?
Well, there are a lot of
Hammerberg Road.
from the Pew Research Center, which says that 56%, this is the first time a majority of Americans had said that U.S. troops should be brought home as soon as possible. They're not saying pull out now, but they're saying
Hope
as
we
soon
don't
as
get
possible.
any
They want this war to be over.
funny looking swirly things coming from them clouds.
Joining me now is NPR.
Weather is definitely right for it.
Tom is in Afghanistan. Tom, exactly where?
Michelle, right now, I'm in an American Army base. We're outside the city of Khost in eastern Afghanistan, which is a very known
Accident over there on the other side.
Curious about the troops there and their reaction to the president's address this evening. What do you hear from them? How large they think the military presence should be?
Well, I talked to a lot of troops, from sergeants up to general, and generally what they've been saying is that they hope that combat troops are, they say they're worried about
Yeah, definitely some weather coming in.
The Beijing Police Department
They just announced a tornado warning for Macomb and St. Clair counties, which is down towards Detroit and Romeo.
saying that I was willing to pay back the taxes he was accused of evading. One of the
It looks like we're in
conditions of his
for it
bail
here.
was not to talk to the press. But before Ai Weiwei arrived at his home tonight, his mother Gao Ying spoke briefly to NPR.
Just now, about 10 minutes ago, they called and told us that Xinhua News Agency has an article saying Weiwei is out on bail. But I haven't seen Weiwei.
I'm only going 60 miles an hour. I don't go 70. It just drinks up too much gas.
But I think we'll keep waiting.
It's a lot more
She added that she
relaxing
did
too.
not want to comment on the report that her son had made a confession.
I'll let everybody
She
pass
said she just wanted to see him first and see his condition. Ai Weiwei's family connections had helped to protect him over the years. His father, the poet Ai Qing, was a favorite of Chairman Mao. His often scathing criticism of the Chinese Communist Party and his constant activism had finally overstepped the mark. He was arrested on April 3rd as he was boarding a flight to Hong Kong. Ai is perhaps most famous for helping to design the Bird's Nest Stadium for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Last October, he unveiled a carpet of millions of porcelain sunflower seeds at London's Tate Modern Art Gallery. China watcher Jeffrey Wasserstrom of the University of California at Irvine says that Ai Weiwei was certainly the most prominent of the many artists, human rights lawyers, and Christian activists to be detained.
Ai Weiwei was the most visible symbol.
See that big
of what
mountain
was
up there?
General chill. From the immediate lead up to the Olympics, all the way on until now, we've just seen a tendency toward a tightening zones of freedom.
The Chinese phrase used to translate the English term released on bail usually means that prosecutors have decided to drop charges.
Well, that's
against
not a
suspect
mountain, it's a big
if the
stinky
suspect meets
landfill.
certain conditions, such as not speaking to the press. It's often seen as a way for the government to save face in cases when it decides it's unwise to proceed with legal prosecution. Jeffrey Wasserstrom says Chinese politics are so opaque that it's extremely hard to know the reasons that anything happens.
Of course, there's a desire for news coverage of China to be more upbeat at the moment as the big celebration of the party's 90th birthday is coming up on July.
Northern Macomb County in southeast Michigan, and for northern St. Clair County. That's in effect until 5:15 p.m. At 4:08 p.m., the National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Stay with Michigan Radio for the latest weather developments.
Their grade level. The reading lessons follow the pattern of most digital learning. Kids read stories and are rewarded for the right answer. Third grader Samantha Hernandez knows how it works.
I'll have a McDouble.
Oh, will that be out for you today?
Yep.
106, first out the window.
Oh, we're almost to work here. So I'm gonna make this the end of the video. I would love to take you guys into work with me, but if they catch me with a camera in my workplace, I'll get in a lot of trouble because there's no cameras allowed. So you can't do that. So you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.